going to discuss the configuration of BuddyPress for the Thesis theme in WordPress Multisite. Up to this point, we have been adding the Thesis theme, doing the settings for Multisite and BuddyPress. We've added the BP Thesis child theme, and we've done some basic setting options. Now we're in the admin settings panel for our Multisite installation. We'll take a look at our actual website for just a moment. Your website will probably look something like this. We just added these BuddyPress specific menu items up here, which bring us to the different BuddyPress menu pages. And there are two issues that we ran into, of course. And the first is concerning the forums. If you click on the forums page, we want to go to the site-wide forums, but this takes us to the group forums directory. That's a peculiarity that is well noted with BBPress and BuddyPress integration. The BBPress BuddyPress integration makes the group forums take priority over the site-wide forums, and that's an issue with the page slugs that we're going to resolve in this video. Also, when you're logged in, if you click on register, it just brings you to a page. That's because you're already logged in. You don't need to register, so maybe this item's a little smarter than we need it to be. So that goes away once you log out. A registration page will come up. So that's actually not an issue at all, but it's something you might notice if you're logged in. So what we do want to clean up, of course, is this issue with the forums page. So we're going to take care of that. We'll go back to the network admin, and we are going to go to the plugins area. We're going to click Add New, and we're going to click Upload. And we are going to click Choose File, and I already have this on my desktop. We're looking for the BBPress Thesis _ 1.24 zip. We're going to install that. You do not need to network activate this. It's only going to work on one site. Now, you will want to go to the actual settings panel for your website. So we're going to go to the website settings panel. I'm just going to move that tab before the actual website. And if we go to the plugins for the actual website now, you'll notice that the BBPress Thesis compatibility pack has been added. So we'll just activate that here. And that's been activated. Now what we can do is come down here in our permalinks for the website, and we'll just update the permalink structure by clicking Save Changes. And then we can go to our website and click Refresh. Now you'll notice nothing has changed here. The forums still bring us to this group forums area. And what that BBPress Thesis compatibility pack is doing is redirecting the BBPress template functionality to Thesis pages. So we actually need to go in and make a couple changes in the actual settings, and we'll do that now. We are in the site admin area, and we're going to make a few changes to how BBPress works and how BuddyPress works with the forums. So inside the plugins, we actually don't want to be in the site admin, we want to be in the network admin area. Under settings, you'll see BuddyPress settings. So just to confirm, we're in the network admin, not the site admin area. And we are under settings, and we are clicking BuddyPress settings. And this brings us to the page that's familiar. We've seen this several times before. We have the 4 different areas that we can configure for the BuddyPress plugin. We're going to leave everything fine here. We're going over to the Pages area. Now here you'll notice that Discussion Forums is listed as the Forums page. And if we browse over to the website very briefly, the Forums page is actually not taking us to Discussion Forums. It's taking us to the Group Forums directory. So if we go back to the Network Admin area, we're going to make a simple change here. And instead of listing this as forums, we're going to come up here and list this as none. We're not going to associate a WordPress page with this particular BuddyPress component. And we're just going to click the inline save button here. And that's done. And then again, we will take a look at the website. We will just refresh this page. Now you'll notice as soon as we make that change, by hitting the Forums button, we are taken to a forum. Now I went ahead and actually set up a forum, so your page may actually not say anything here. So what to do now is to go to your site admin area, click on the Forums menu item, and click on New Forum. And you're just going to put some information here into the title box and a little bit of description. So let's just put something here. You might want to use test title 1. I'll use test title 2 since this is my second one. This is a new test forum. And then we're going to click publish. And then we'll click back over to the actual website, click on Forums, and you'll notice that forum is added there. It's a new forum. So as soon as you add your forum, it will show up here. And then you'll also notice there's breadcrumbs added here. And the deeper we get into the forum, for instance, if we click on Test Forum 1, the breadcrumbs are added. Now this is where the Thesis plugin compatibility works. Without that plugin, these breadcrumbs are not going to work as they're supposed to. And again, this is a peculiarity with the way the page slugs work between BuddyPress and the actual BuddyPress forums. But with this plugin, they work perfectly. And these settings are actual settings based inside the BuddyPress layout. Now you can come in here and create a new topic, for example, and you could tag your topic. And then you could set how that topic is. So if we want to just come in here and create a new topic, this is a new topic inside the test form number 1. And we could tag that topic. And you could set the type of topic that it is. Now, a topic is something like a thread if you're familiar with bulletin boards. It's something that people can look at, read, and respond to. And we'll just leave it as a normal. And then we'll click to be notified if there are follow-up replies, meaning once we post this topic, if someone replies to that topic, it'll send an email to our user profile email, and we can go back and respond, and we'll click submit. Now, before we do click submit, you'll notice it's pretty basic in terms of styling here. There's not a lot of fluff and styling to this. You can see there's some HTML items that you can do. For example, if we wanted to do test form number 1 and we wanted to bold that, it'll add the HTML for bolding for us, and that's pretty simple additions there. We'll click submit and we'll be done. So we forgot to put a title in for our form. Under here, and then we will click submit again. And you'll see inside of your topic, you now have a topic box here. The person who published this topic, it will show their profile avatar. If one has been submitted, it shows their IP address, it shows their title. We are the keymaster since we are the admin here. You can do a few things in terms of the functionality of BuddyPress. You can go back and edit this. You can close this topic. You can make it sticky, stick it to the front like an announcement. You could merge this with another topic, trash it, spam it, and then it tells you the number here. You can also subscribe to this if there are any updates or replies to this. It will list it, and you can follow that. And then you could also add this topic to your favorites. The BuddyPress functionality gives you the ability to follow favorite posts, which you can access quickly from the back end of the site. These forums, these test forums, and these test topics are just to make sure that our forum page here is working correctly. So whether you use the breadcrumbs and go back to the forums, or you click on the forum menu item, it should take you back to this site that looks something like this, and you'll see your breadcrumbs here, home, and this is the home of the site, and then this is the home of the forums. You should see the forum that you created here. You'll notice that the topic we added in test form 1, you'll now see that this table is updated. The topic has one topic, it has one post, and then the freshness it says it was updated 3 minutes ago with a small graphic of my avatar and the username. Now all of this is clickable. If you click, for instance, on 3 minutes ago, it'll go back to that. If you click on the name of the person who updated it, it'll take you to their profile information, which also lists links to that person's activity, which you'll see here. That activity is logged. You might see different information about that person's profile, some messages that go back and forth now, the groups that they're a part of, any of the forums they've posted in, and then their settings. So the BuddyPress functionality is clean and working perfectly inside of this site. Now, it also works the same way as something like Twitter or Facebook with the @mentions, and it uses the settings of the nickname in your profile. So when a new user logs on and sets a profile name, you put @ in front of that profile name, and you'll be able to tag them through posts and activity mentions. So that's another nice feature here. Now we're going to go back in and we're going to finish doing some of the settings. Now, say for instance, let's go back to the forums. You don't want your website to be under the name forums. You want your website to be under the name community or something else. We're going to leave ours forums, but I will show you where to change that if you want to change it somewhere else. Obviously, you could change it inside the menu if you want this to read community, so we'll show you how to do that very briefly. Back in the site admin, you will go to appearance, under menus, and you'll see we have our menu here. Under forums, you can open up the menu item for forums, and for instance, you might want to change that to community. And you'll click Save. And by doing that, you're not actually changing the page or the page slug. You're just changing the navigation label. So for instance, if we come back to our site and refresh, you'll notice that forums has changed to community. So if we wanted to go, say, back to the home page, and then if we clicked on community, nothing with the back end of BuddyPress or WordPress has changed. This is still called the forums. If we click on a forum, it is still called forums there as well. The only thing that has changed is our view, our name for the menu item. So that would be a cosmetic way to change this. If you actually wanted to change the page slugs here and how this displays in your browser, you'll notice here it's forums and forum. That's in the actual BuddyPress settings. So you go back to the network admin settings, and in the forums area, you'll see you have two choices: to edit the settings for your group forums and then edit the settings for your site-wide. And since we're dealing with site-wide forums, we'll click on that button. Now you're taken to a long list of settings here, and we'll go through some of these items and what they mean. Now, what we're trying to change here with the page, for instance, I'm going to click back to the website. We wanted to make a change where it says community, so we want the page slugs to reflect the menu item change. Rather than saying forums, because some people might not know what that means, we want this to say community, and then a forum inside the community. So, you'll see here under single slugs and archive slugs, this is where we want to make this change. It's called forums. So we can come in here under the forums base and the topics base. You'll see here forums base. This is the forum base. It says forums, as you can see here in the URL. So we can change that to anything. Let's change that to community. And we'll leave this lowercase, because if you make a capital case here, or capitalize it, that will have to be mirrored in the browser, and most people aren't going to get that since most people use lowercase with the web. We'll leave this lowercase. We can leave the topics the same, and then the forum slug you can leave as a forum inside the community. If you want, you could change this to anything. You could make this a thread, for example, or you can make this an article, or you could name it any single slug name you want, meaning not plural. So we'll change the forums base to community, and we'll change the forum slug to thread, and then we'll click Save Changes. And you'll notice back here, one other thing, we will update the permalinks to reflect that structure. So we'll go in the settings and the network admin, and we'll just click Save. This may not be required, but we like to click it anyway to make sure that it saves. Now if we go back to our website, we'll click on the header to take us back to the home, and then we'll click over to Community. Now you'll notice here, if we click in Test Forum, our actual URL is updating. You'll see our website name, and it reflected, now it says Community, and inside the community is a thread. And this is our topic. We changed the word topic to thread. And here is our topic. And you can click inside that and view it. And if there were other topics listed in this particular thread, that would show up as well. So you can see it's a pretty easy way to change how your community reads. And it might be a different word for your community. You might have one type of industry that might not use the word forum. Community might be a little too communal for you. You might want to make that more formal and turn it into something else. You might want to call this network, or you might want to call this articles, or something that makes sense for your community. And in doing so, you make those two changes, one to the menu and one to the settings inside BuddyPress. And for now, we're going to go back and reset that. So we will go to, in the network admin, we'll go back to the dashboard of the network admin. We will go to the BuddyPress settings. We will click inside the forums, the configure site-wide forums. And in case you're not noticing, inside the BuddyPress settings, when you click configure site-wide forums, it actually brings you to the BuddyPress settings, because this is what is controlling the site-wide forums. So if you wanted to, you could just go straight to plugins and BuddyPress settings. It accomplishes the same thing. But we're going to change this back to the word forums, and we're going to change this back to forum, singular, for the forum slugs, and we'll click Save Changes. Again, we will update the permalink settings. And we will go back to our website, the home page. And one last change we'll make is in the site admin, back in the menu, instead of community, we will rename the menu forums and click Save Menu. So really, we're just undoing the changes we made just a few moments ago. We'll refresh our home page, and you'll notice forums goes back to normal. We click on that page, our URL is correct, and our test forums are lining up. So at this point, we have changed the BuddyPress settings, the BuddyPress settings, installed the connector, the plugin, the BP Thesis child theme, and also the BuddyPress plugin. So we have a fully functioning BuddyPress website running on the Thesis theme framework for a multi-site installation of WordPress. I told you I would go through some of the main settings for BuddyPress and BuddyPress, so we're going to do that now and just explain what some of these settings are. So we will go to the BuddyPress settings, and we'll start in the components area. A few things to note here. These checkboxes give certain functionality through BuddyPress for your site. For example, the extended profiles, you'll see here is a description. Your community has fully editable profile fields that allow your users to describe themselves. If you uncheck this, the profiles that you see in BuddyPress will default to the standard user profiles for WordPress. It's a lot more fun, and it gives you the ability to add more information by clicking this extended profiles. And you can see where that is if you visit your website and you go to the members section. Anyone who signs up on your website will be listed as a member here. If you click on that name, these are the profiles. You'll click here, and you could look at different information here. Now, we've just set some basic information in our profile. The more information we set, the more information that will be listed here. And of course, you can edit that from this screen as well. And here we have just the basic name set up. You could change the avatar. And then inside the actual admin section, because when somebody signs up as a member, they have the ability to change their profile inside the WordPress admin section. They could add more information like where they can be contacted, usernames, email address, online things such as Google Chat, locations or addresses, and other profile fields that you might typically see on a social network. Account settings. You give the ability to your users to modify their account and notification settings. So for example, a notification setting might be if you're following a particular topic, how you would be notified or how often you might be notified. If somebody posts an addition to a thread or a topic, you would be notified and then you could log back on. And this is a great setting to have checked off because if somebody is following a setting and asked to be notified about that particular thread, when an update to that thread is posted, that person or all those people who are following that thread will receive a notification. They might want to go back onto the network to repost or to respond to that comment or that post on that thread. And this really encourages interaction with your network, so it's a great setting to leave on. Friend connections allows the users in your site to make connections as friends with each other. This is a feature that Facebook really made popular. So you can see here friends. For example, right now there's only one person on a network. It's just us, the admin setup. But if there were more people, or if your network has multiple people, you now have the ability to go out and make friends with other people. And you can click on a person's username and request that they become your friend. If somebody requests that you become their friend, it would show up in your profile area here under the Requests button. You also have the ability to send private messages back and forth, and it says here it's not limited to just one-on-one discussions. Messages can be sent between any number of members, so it's not really like a group chat kind of thing, but you can message. It's almost like an internal email program that sends private messages back to members. Of course, we have an activity stream that allows people to post activities. There are RSS feeds to activities, so for example, we'll click on the activity monitor here in our website, and you'll notice here if we wanted to post an activity status, this is almost like a little micro blogging platform integrated here. If we wanted to post a status update like hello, I'm feeling blue, let people know that we're sad right now, and you could post this in your profile. We will post an update, and you'll notice that gets added to the status monitor for the site. This is the activity list for the entire site. And that will get added, which people can, of course, then reply to, just like you can reply in Twitter or Facebook. You can also filter this activity stream here to show only status updates or topics or replies or new members or friendship connections. All the different types of activity that could possibly happen on your site will show up in this activity monitor. If you didn't want to have an activity monitor on your site, you would remove that by removing this component from BuddyPress. Of course, before we mentioned user groups, you can have different groups inside your network, and we'll show you that briefly here. On the groups area, right now we don't have any groups set up, but as an admin we can create a group. So a group would be a grouping of people inside of your network. So right now everyone has access to everything on the network. If we wanted to create a specific group, say just for admins, so let's call this administrators. And let's say we have a large network and we might have 4 or 5 people who are pruning the forums on a regular basis to make sure there aren't any illegitimate posts or spam content on our forum. And this is a group just for administrators. And you can make this anything really. We'll create the group and continue. And again, you'll notice here it takes you through a 4-step process. And being that this is just a basic site with not a lot of CSS, you'll notice that these tabs are pretty basic. Now all of this can be edited through CSS to make your site unique. This is a public group or a private group or a hidden group, and you could choose how you want this to be, and you'll see the different settings. Any site member can join this group. Obviously that's not what we want to do. You can make this a private group or a hidden group. We'll click Next Step. We will enable a discussion forum. You'll notice I'll go back previous step here. On the previous step, enable discussion forum. This makes a forum available just for this group, separate from the site-wide forums. And we do want to have that so the administrators can talk to each other. We'll click Next Step. That would be setting up an avatar. And then the final step would be invites, which if you want to send an invite out to friends, you have friend connections built up and you can send a connection to a friend. We'll just click Finish and that will create this group for us. And you'll notice here, here is the group admins. It's called administrators with a little bit of description here. You can set the avatar here. That takes you to the profile page for the group. And you'll notice this group has its own forum. It also has its own activity list, and you could post a topic here. Now let's just do a quick topic here. Group forum title, group forum content description. We're going to tag this with the admin group, and then we'll post that topic. So you'll see that our group forum, if we go back to just the standard forum page here, you'll see that our group forum has one topic, and it's a new topic which we can click on, and it is called the group forum title. The latest post was done by Craig Grella. There's one post, and it was done 9 seconds ago. And you could post a new topic here, or you could click on this one and respond to it. You can also look at the members of this particular group, and you'll notice they're listed there. So it's a little mini group within the site. Now you'll notice if I click on forums, that group forum we set up is nowhere to be found, and that's the way this should be. These are the site-wide forums. When you click on the forum button, menu item, it takes you to the site-wide forums. The group forums are different. They don't show up in the site-wide forums. They show up only in the group directory. So you'll notice here inside the group directory, here's our listing for administrators. And only in the administrator forum area will you see the administrator forum. This is a group forum. If we were to create another group and allow them to have forums, for instance, you might get your network members together, a specific group of them, and allow them to have their own private forum separate from the site-wide forums. Now, there's also a reason not to do this. You might want most of your discussions to take place on the site-wide forums for the benefit of all your members. And if that's the case, you would want to disable the forum ability in your group creation. If you wanted to, you could also go back to your BuddyPress settings and disable group forums, and that would be done in the forums area. And you could uninstall group forums, which takes away the group forum integration. So that would be another thing for you to do if you wanted to get rid of that. Of course, discussion forums are your site-wide forums, and also your group forums here, but you can dig in deeper by going to the forums section. And then site tracking. And anytime somebody registers as a new user, that's listed as a blog. They can develop blog posts on your site, and that's handled in site tracking. Obviously, the two areas you cannot edit are the BuddyPress core and the community members. Now, inside the forums, which is obviously a big part of the BuddyPress integration, are all the different settings for BBPress, since we've integrated BuddyPress with BBPress. And we'll go through these settings very briefly. Now, down below we discussed the archive slug and the single slug settings, and these are how the pages are set for forums, topics, threads, things like that. Now, if you wanted to get rid of group forums, you could uncheck this button here, Enable Group Forums, and you can get rid of that as well by unchecking that button in the Forums setting panel. Up above, you'll see a few settings here. Lock post editing after a certain amount of minutes. And what this does is, after you put a post up, this gives you a window of time to go back and edit your post. So we've set this as a default to 5 minutes, which means after 5 minutes you'll no longer be able to edit the post that you put up or the thread that you put up. And you could change this to make it a higher number, so maybe you want to give yourself 60 minutes to be able to go back and edit that post, but 5 minutes is a good part there. Throttle time is set to 10 seconds. This creates spam content. If a hacker or a spammer gets access to your site, signs up, and then just starts posting hundreds or thousands of posts and attacking your site with spam, this throttle time basically says you can only create one post every 10 seconds. So the user has to wait 10 seconds before creating another post or another reply. They can't just continuously reply or create spam replies by uploading to your site. And you could change that, make it one every minute or 10 minutes to further prevent against somebody just railing your site. You can check to allow revisions, which will allow people to revise their topics. You can allow favorites. We talked about that before by allowing people to mark topics as favorites. That adds some additional functionality that they can inside their profile. They can mark topics or threads that they find really interesting. They can access quickly without having to search through your entire site. And then allowing subscriptions allows users to subscribe to certain topics that they can follow. Allowing anonymous posting is allowing guest users to post without creating an account. I don't recommend that you do this because this increases the spam on your site. You want to make people register for your site to be able to post throughout your network. Allowing global access, this is all users of your multi-site installation to create topics. Now you might not want certain users of certain blogs or certain network sites to be able to access your site, so I would leave that off as well. And then the fancy editor uses the WordPress editor to create your posts and topics. If you turn this off, it will make editing your posts a little bit harder. It doesn't give you as much as what you see is what you get, editing ability. Auto embed links. This is a great functionality that WordPress gives you in recent updates. If you are to put a YouTube link, for example, inside any of your posts or threads, it will automatically embed that as a video inside the thread. So just for kicks, we're going to show you what that looks like. So we will click on Embed Media, and we will click Save Changes here. And then we're going to go back to our website, and let's just click on the home page and then go into Forums. Let's just click on Test Forum 1, and we will click inside the Test Forum topic. And you'll see here this is a forum topic description, and we're going to post a reply. But before we do that, let's open up YouTube, and we're just going to pick a random video off YouTube. I see one here that's been posted recently. I'm not sure what this video is about. We're going to click pause so we don't hear this over the video, and we're just going to grab this URL. We're going to go back to our topic, put in a reply that is rather spammy, and we're going to put in our YouTube URL, and we will click Submit. You will notice that that URL is automatically embedded as the video. Again, this is recent functionality to WordPress to automatically embed that. Now, if we were to come back here to our settings and turn off Embed Media and then click Save Changes, refresh this, you'll notice it goes back to just a single link that people can click on as opposed to being able to watch it directly. So that's a really cool setting if you want to allow that. Then theme packages here, the current package, you'll just have two options here. And this is how your form content is displayed within the theme. We're using BuddyPress. That was installed when we installed BuddyPress. We'll leave that as is. And then you can change how many topics and replies are displayed per page. We've got that set to default, which is 15. After that, you will see pagination. And your RSS, obviously you have RSS settings for all of your forum topics and replies, and you could change the number that show up in your RSS feeds to your users as well. So we'll click Save Change. There's really not a lot of changes to make. And we'll return to our website homepage. So there you have it. We have just a few different settings here. This is our site. This is what it looks like, and all of these work. And the final change we will make before we start styling our site is to change these widgets. So we will go to the site admin, which is where we are if we just edited these BuddyPress settings. We're going to Appearance and Widgets, and we're going to change some of the widgets that display. You'll notice we have a few things in Sidebar 1, nothing in Sidebar 2, which is why our website shows this default widget. That's what Thesis shows when nothing is there. So we're going to change some of this. We don't need to see meta. We're going to drag that. We don't want to see archives. We don't want to see recent comments. That relates to posts. We will leave recent posts, and we will leave the search functionality, although we're going to put that in the top right, Sidebar 2. You don't need to refresh here. It'll update automatically. So if we go back to our site and we refresh our page site, you'll notice things have changed around. The default widget is gone. That doesn't display anymore because we've actually added things to sidebar number 2. And all we see here are recent posts, and this relates to the blog of the site, not anything BuddyPress related. And this relates categories to the blog as well. So now we're going to add some BuddyPress specific things. And you will see here you have BBPress, which are the forums, and that's obviously a big part of the BuddyPress functionality. So for instance, we can have a forum list. We will add that to our sidebar 1. We will have a login widget, and we'll add that just below the search bar, or I'm sorry, above the search bar in sidebar 2. You can also show recent replies to forums and recent topics which were included with forums, and you could put those into this area as well. And we are going to leave that as it is, and then we will come back to the site and refresh it, and we'll see how that changes. So you'll see here we've added test forums. These are our forums, and here's a login and log out. Since we are logged in, it shows us our name and our profile, and we have the ability to log out. We'll do that in a moment. But before we do, we're going to change the layout just a little bit, and we'll do that by going into Thesis, Design Options. And we had this set, you'll notice here, columns 480, 200, 200, 195, 195, sorry. This makes our site just a little bit under 900 pixels wide. We want to get this closer to 960, so we're actually going to change this from 480 to 580. We're going to leave that at 195, 195, and we're going to change the column order to sidebar 1, content, then sidebar 2. And we'll click that, and we will click the big ass save button. We'll go back to the page and refresh it, and you'll see how your page changes. We now have our sidebar 1 on the left, our content column got a little bit bigger, and our sidebar 2 stays on the right. So this looks a little bit more like a network type of page. And then just to show you what this looks like here, we're going to log out to show you what a regular user would see. You'll see we get this message, you're logged out, but if we get rid of this and just go to our normal site URL, you'll see here that you're given a username and password with a login box. Again, this is not really styled well because there isn't too much CSS that's been added here, but this is basically what your site looks like. So we'll make one final edit, and to do that we will go back to the widgets area, and since we logged out last time, to show you what the username and password post would be. It's going to ask us to log in. We will do that now. And we're back in the widgets appearance area. We see sidebar 1, we have a forms list. It's asking us for a title here, since if you look at our website, it just says test form 1, test title 2. It doesn't have a heading. So we'll just add a heading here, and we'll just say community forms. And we will list all of them. We'll save that, refresh our site. And you'll notice the heading is added to the forum listing. So that's pretty much it. This was a longer video, but we have gone through configuring BuddyPress to show a little bit of that, or I should say we configured Thesis and BuddyPress to show a little bit of your BuddyPress functionality on the front page. You can continue to edit the functionality of the front page by editing your PHP and your CSS. You can add some of that theme template ability and bring some of the BuddyPress functions to your front page. For example, you could show activity updates, or you can create a feature box with the login, or you can show a list of members on your site. And all that is done through PHP templating through your theme, and we'll cover that in another video in a different tutorial. But the final part, part 3 of this series of articles, will discuss some basic CSS that you can do to make your site really unique. We're going to add some color, change the menu, add a picture, and that will make this site look a lot better than where it is right now.